today is to give you a little demonstration and training on ARC's next generation tool to provide our market intelligence to our clients online. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the old MIS service, but this time around we've taken a completely different approach. And rather than designing a custom web page that goes directly into the database, this time we're using a analytics engine called Power Pivot that's part of the Microsoft Excel offering, and it's a free add-on. This time around, the tool is going to be delivered in an actual Excel workbook. So it's much easier to use, much quicker, and especially much easier to export from the database into Excel. One of the downsides is that it requires Excel 2010 and Power Pivot installed, but what we've done is we've decided to host this on ARC's server so our clients don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do today is just sort of run through how to log into this particular new tool. The first step is to log into ARC's website. The URL is www.arcweb.com, and then there's typically a sign-in button up here. And right now I'm signed in as Joe Emerson, and each of the 11 ABB Mira customers have their own unique username and password. So if any clients need or don't remember the password or are having trouble using it, you can contact Tracy Doyle here. She's the account manager at ARC for ABB, and her email address is tdoyle, D-O-Y-L-E, @arcweb.com. Once you've logged into the ARC website, My ARC tab should become visible. And under that, what you want to do is select right over here on the Mira option. And Mira stands, by the way, is Market Intelligence and Rapid Analysis. That's the acronym.
Okay.
And this brings you to a page here, sort of a welcome page for Mira users. And there's going to be some announcements here if there's any major announcements. There's also, we're beginning some user documentation and how to access some notes here. But when you're ready to use the actual service, you can click right here on the Go to your Mira environment now. And what we're doing now is we're connecting to the ARC server remotely. What you want to do is just open this remote connection, and typically there's a security, and you can say allow. And then what you want to do is connect. And right here, the first time around, you're going to have to make sure you type in client / and then your username and password. Once you've done it once, it'll remember it. You'll see here that it remembers client / J Emerson. But the first time, you have to make sure you add that client / in front of your username. And then you use the same password that you were given to access ARC's website. Hit OK, and this often takes a minute or two as the server recognizes you. And then it'll open up into what we're calling a splash page here. This is a bit of a welcome page. So you're now on ARC's server, and there's a few different deliverables here, as you'll see. The first deliverable is ARC Mira Worldwide Research. This is all of the information that's typically in a worldwide study for ARC. So you get worldwide market shares, regional market shares, forecast down to the regional level, but no country-specific information. The country-specific information is a separate tool that's down here under the country analysis. And part of that's done by models, some of that's through primary research, but we'll get into that later. The third bucket here, or umbrella, is Scratch Workbooks. And the reason for this is that because we're now delivering the service as part of an Excel workbook, anytime we want to refresh it, it requires us to create a brand new workbook. So if you or any of the other ABB clients are doing any customization to these workbooks, if you do them directly on the Mira workbook, they'll be lost when it's updated. So what we're suggesting our clients do is, if you want to copy and paste any of the results from the reports and do any kind of a customization, then what you can do is open up a Scratch workbook, and you can save it here on ARC server, or you can save it locally on your own desktop if you prefer. But what you don't want to do is save it directly on the Mira workbook, because any changes you make will be lost eventually when it's updated. So once you've decided which tool you want to choose, you just select the appropriate button, and we'll start with a worldwide. And this opens up the ARC Worldwide Market Outlook Mira workbook for customized for ABB. And there's some copyright information, the file update process, which is what I just explained. A little information about the analysis engine Power Pivot, if anyone's interested. And you'll see here that there's different reports on each worksheet, but we've also designed a menu screen that you can go bounce back and forth, which we think is much easier. So if you just hit this Get Started button, you'll see here that we have a menu screen that has hot links to each of the different tabs. If you want to get back to this menu screen, each page has an orange bar at the top, which is a link back to this menu screen. The reports I've been mentioning are broken up into three broad categories. The first category is competitive analysis tools. If you want to benchmark yourself against the competition in a given market, or if you're looking at entering into a new market and you want to see who you'd be up against, or if you're looking for a potential acquisition or partner and you want to see what their strength is in different markets, that's the kind of tool, that's the competitive analysis tools are designed for. The business planning is more overall business trends, both historic and ARC's forward outlook. So that's more if you're wondering where to invest, either regionally or vertical industry or services versus hardware. That's what these particular reports are designed for. And finally, the market visibility group of reports is really, that's just raw data, but it gives you quick visibility and access to large amounts of data that you can copy and paste somewhere else and do some customization. Because that was one of the things we learned with the first MIS service, was that many of our clients want to have access to a large amount of data and be able to export it quickly. So that's really what this particular group of tools is designed for. So let's say you wanted to do some competitive analysis on a given market. You can click here on this market share chart report, and you'll see here that the reports are designed here. You have both graphical and tabular, and above the report is 4 slicers that are what they're called. This is where you can pick and choose which information is displayed down below. And the slices are categorized by different type of information. The first is study or product. So right now you'll see that we have distributed control systems selected. Then we have the base year or calendar year. We have 2010 selected. And the dark blue is selected. The dark gray is available but not selected. And the light gray is just not available in this particular report. And as far as the segment, it's world region, and all 4 categories are selected, all 4 world regions. So this is effectively the worldwide market shares for DCS calendar year 2010. And if you decide you want to drill down into a particular region, you can just select EMEA here, and both the chart and the table will update. So now you have just EMEA instead of worldwide. And if you want to combine multiple regions, let's say you're in charge of the Americas, you can select Latin America and hold down Shift in North America, and you get a combined market shares for both Latin America and North America. Now, above each of the slicers, when you make a selection, that's filtering the information that's displayed down to that selection. So whenever you want to clear a filter, you can just click on this button, and you go back up to worldwide, and then you can go over here and you can select different segments, say industry, and do the same thing. If you want to pick electric power, you select that, so that's market shares for DCS and electric power. Or if you want to combine the two, you could do, let's say, upstream oil and gas combined with downstream refining. You hold down the control key and select refining, and you'll have the combined market shares for the overall oil and gas market, both upstream and downstream. Likewise, you can choose different years if you want to go back and see what the market shares were in 2009. You can bounce back and forth, say 2010. You can also select different products. Let's say if you want to switch over to the control valves, you can do that. Or if you want to combine them, let's say you wanted to see who the leading suppliers are for the combined market for distributed control systems and control valves. You just select both those. So this particular chart is the market in oil and gas and refining for 2010 for DCS and control valves combined. So these slices are really maybe take a little bit of getting used to, but essentially that's what you want to use to pick and choose what information, or really filter it down to what information is included down below. And if there's a need to go down a little further than what you have here, the next report here is subcategory market share charts. And where available, we take another slice down into the market. So you'll see here that we have distributed control systems selected and revenue category. And on the previous screen, you'd only be able to choose between hardware, software, and services. But this particular report here breaks down the service revenues by one level down. So it's either operations or project management. In this case, it's just operations services. So that's why we have these subcategory. It's the same report as the one above, but where available, you'll get an extra level of detail in the reporting. If you're looking, up to now, everything's been a one-year snapshot as far as the market shares, but if you're looking for historical trends in market shares, who's gaining market share or losing market share in a particular market, we've designed the market share trends report to give some visibility into that. And again, you'll see the same slices up top. You get the study, year, segment, and category. But you also have a new slice over here on the side by company. So what you can do is pick the market you're looking at, in this case DCS, world region, Asia happens to be selected now, and then you can select the competitors that you want to analyze, and you can see who's gaining market share or losing market share since 2000 in the DCS market for Asia. And similar to the previous reports, if you want to clear this filter, you can just click on that, and it'll change it from just Asia to worldwide, or you could, pick and choose if you want to do the Americas. You can pick Latin America and North America. You can also, if you wanted to add Rockwell automation over here, you could just hold down Control, hit Rockwell, and they're added to the analysis. You can also clear the filter up here, which will provide all of the competitors. The problem is it gets a little bit crowded at that point, but we also have the same information in tabular information down below the chart. So if you do want to see a lot of the competitors or all the competitors all at once, but the graph becomes a little too busy to really read easily, then you can just scroll down here to the tabular form of the report. And similar to the one-year market share snapshot reports, we have the same thing for subcategories. So exact same report, except it drills down. Instead of just services, you could see historical trending in operations services or project management services. So you can sort of drill down one level further down into the data where available. So that's all of the competitive analysis tools that are built into this first deliverable of Mira. But I guess now would be a good place to start and stop and ask if there's any questions of anything I've shown so far. Okay. Well, let's move on to business planning. Let's say if you're doing some business planning and you want to build a case to invest more in a particular region or vertical industry, this is where you can get some trending, both historical and ARSI's outlook by market. So you can pick the trend chart, and you'll see a common theme here between the slices. We've tried to be very common and consistent across all the reports so that once you get used to using one of them, then you could very easily go back and forth between them. So in this case, you'll see that the study is DCS, world region, and you'll see here that we've made a distinction between what we call actuals, which are historical revenues that we've collected, analyzed, finalized, and produced and published. And then starting in 2011, the coloring of the charts changed over to what we're calling forecast. So this is ARC's forecast, And in the case of 2011, we've collected some actuals, so it's a bit of a mix there, but we just wanted to let people know that the difference between the actuals, which have been finalized, and the outlook, which is, again, ARC's outlook, but hasn't been, will be updated as we get to those years coming forward. You'll see here that this is a pretty powerful tool. You can see the rapid ramp up in, before the downturn, and then the resulting downturn from the economic crisis that we saw in 2008, 2009. And, the bounce back, as you see here, a lot of bounce back already. So it's good to see. And down below is that same information in tabular format as well. And similar to other reports, if you wanted to pick switch it to, let's say, industry, you just pick industry over here and maybe narrow it down to some key industries so that the graph isn't quite as busy. So you can pick electric power and maybe refining, whichever one key markets you're looking at, let's say oil and gas maybe. And the graph and tabular reports both update as you're making your selections. And similar to the other the competitive analysis reports, we have the same report here for subcategories. So again, if you're in the previous report, you could only see overall services, but here, if you want to see the breakdown between operations and project management services, you can do that as well. And finally, we can get into some of the market visibility reports, and it's a lot of the same information, but without the graphical analysis, and this is really just sort of a quick access to raw data. So here, you'll see all of the data in the database for distributed control systems. So here's a good case that if you want to do a large bulk export, you can just, this is all in Excel already, so you can just copy and paste this into another Excel workbook if you need to. And if you want to see what information you have, or what categories ARC collects or reports for the DCS market, you can do that here, because all of the categories are all listed over here on the right, or the left, sorry. And the same information is available for different products, so if you wanted to pick control valves, which is another area you guys purchase regularly, so or you could do both if you wanted to do all the information we have for control valves and distributed control systems. You'll see it starts off with all the control valve information and then switches over to the DCS down below. So again, what we've designed this for is quick access to large amounts of data. And if you want to know what subcategories are available, so this is that second level down. You can see here that we have it broken down by services types and large, medium, small. So the subcategory actuals gives you some visibility into what the subcategory information is available in the database. The next report is actuals by study table. And this is the same information, but it's reformatted to compare one study versus another. So if you want to compare and contrast the markets for two different studies, whether it's, in this case, it's 2 different years of the DCS, so you'll see it side by side. You could quickly and easily see the difference between the batch applications year over year for DCS or cement and glass. But you can also, if you wanted to see what's the difference in markets between the DCS and control valve, you could select multiple studies and pick a year here, let's say 2009. And in some cases where they're not common, you'll see that there's no commonality in some of the segmentations. But in the industry, you can see here that the cement and glass, for example, is a much bigger market for DCS than control valves. And likewise, electric power generation. So you can compare and contrast similar markets in different reports with this report, and that's what it's designed for. And up to now, all of the market visibility reports have been limited to just the actuals, but during the beta trials, we were given some feedback that people would also like to have quick access to ARC's 5-year outlook as well. So we've designed a forecast and actuals report, which is the same report, but in addition to the actuals, we also add on our 5-year outlook. So this, again, we're trying to give visibility and quick access to a lot of information all at once. We also have developed a support page here. So this is designed to, again, this is a bit of a account synopsis. So you'll see here the client is ABB. Here's all the authorized users for the account. And this is a table, a chart that tells you what ABB has purchased access to. So you'll see here that on the left is a list of the different studies or products available, and then the different years. And each green circle represents a study that was finalized that ABB has purchased, and you have access to. And if you want to limit that to say, okay, I just want to see what information we have for the DCS market, you could use the same slide to here and limit it to just the DCS. Or likewise, if you want to say, well, what information have we purchased access to for calendar year 2010, you can select 2010, and you'll see all the studies that ABB has access to for 2010. And there's some different icons here as far as the yellow triangle, sort of a caution sign here, is that is information that is preliminary and was not finalized. And in some cases, we have to go back and maybe this should have been finalized, but in other cases, in 2011, for example, we've given ABB access to preliminary information before it's finalized, which is another benefit that we try to provide our Mira users, is that in many cases it takes ARC several months to finalize a study between gathering the information, analyzing it, and doing our double checks and sanity checks and forecasts, and then writing the text and editing and proofreading and all that. It can take several months. So we've realized that many of our clients have need for updated information early on in the year. So as part of Mira, we are offering access to preliminary information early on in the year before a study is finalized. So that's where you're going to see these sort of caution icons here. So that's preliminary information that has not been finalized. And we also have developed access to ARC's scope definitions. So everything up till now has been really just market analysis, just the data only. But if you want to know, well, what is the ARC's definition of a distributed control system or control valve, what's included and excluded in that information, you can log in here using the same username and password you used before. Give me a moment here. I'm logging in as Joe Emerson. And over here on the left, you'll see that there's a list of all of the different studies, or many of the different studies that ARC publishes. So you select control valves, and you'll see here, this is ARC's definition of control valve market. As far as classification, hardware, software, services, actuators by type, digital positioners by communication protocol, our definition by sales channel. So this gives you a little more detail into what the definition is behind the numbers that you've been looking at. Also, we have links over here on the right if you want to know some further details on the industry codes ARC uses to define our industries. You can click on that, and you'll see here that there's some tables here that break down each of the industries that we provide information for by SIC code, NAICS code, and then NACE code. And they're broken down by process, discrete industries, service industries. And we also give access to currency and regions. So if you want to know which countries are in each of the 4 main regions, or what exchange rates we're using, or the current set of exchange rates, you can get access to that here as well. And that's about it for the worldwide workbook. Is there any questions before I move on to the country model workbook?
I would like to comment, not actually a question. Is that, in let's say all the statistics. I mean, if we let's say filter by industry, then we have there one industry that is mining and metals. And for example, I work in the unit which is metals. So of course, then I mean, for me it gets a little bit difficult, let's say, to filter the metals part of that.
Yep. Yeah. What we've done here is, in order to drive consistency across all of the studies, we've standardized on mining and metals, but there may be a case that we can help you, but that's something that you'd ask Joe or ask Tracy, and maybe we can help you, but that isn't built into the tool right now as to further segment the industries. But that may be something RC can help you with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to close out of this worldwide workbook. In this case, I won't save my changes on Joe. And that brings us back to the welcome page here. And the country analysis is still in beta. So when you select this particular link here, it's going to ask you for a password. And because this is being shared by different users, there's a common password here, which is ABB in caps 2012. And we're going to be removing that in the future, but for now, these country workbooks are still protected under password. So you'll see here that the same information is available in the country report, except you'll see that it's still in beta. And ABB is chosen to be one of our beta sites, which is good for us and hopefully for ABB, because we want to get your feedback using this tool, and so we can incorporate some of this feedback into the final release of the product. So again, if you have any, as you're using these tools, if you have any comments, pass them along to either Joe or Tracy, and we'll be happy to see if we can incorporate them in the final product. So again, we've got a live menu screen here with links, and so this particular country workbook is designed to give further detail down to the country level that isn't available in ARC's typical studies. And in many cases, or pretty much in all cases, ARC can't really collect data for every single country in the world for all these products, because it would take ARC, our suppliers, it would be too much of a burden on them. So what we're doing is we're collecting primary research down to the regional level, and then key countries being the BRIC countries, Japan, sometimes sub-regions, Western Europe and Eastern Europe. And then for the rest of the industries, we're using for the rest of the countries, we're using a market model to take the primary research down to whatever level of granularity we're comfortable with, whether it's Europe, EMEA, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and then splitting that out by country. So here, if you're looking by region, by industry, you'll see that same look and feel, except that in this case you can get, whereas in a previous workbook you were able to get either regions or industries, but you weren't able to get industries for each region. That's what this particular report is designed for. So you'll see here the 2010 market size for DCS by industry in each of the 4 world regions. And if you want to limit it to just Asia, you can do that up here in the slicers as well. Or again, if you want to pick and choose between different markets, let's say the Americas, you can do that as well. And again, that's done using the slices, just similar as in the previous report. We also get down to industry by country. So if you want to know, okay, region is nice, but I want to know a particular country, this particular report, same layout, same slicers, so you can pick and choose different products and regions using the slicers, just like before. But you'll see here that instead of just a single Asia, we've now broken it each of these regions down by the key industries. So you see 2010 market size for DCS for Australia, China, India, Indonesia, Japan. And if you want to clear the filter up here, right now you only have Asia selected. If you want to clear the filter and see all 4 regions, you just click on this filter here up at the top, and it'll give you all 4 regions broken down by country. And if you go back to the menu, we also have, this is the industry actuals and forecasts. This is sort of the worldwide information that's taken from the previous report, but this is just sort of giving you visibility in this workbook. So you can see here that the overall regional forecasts and industry revenues, which are the 2 key segmentations that were taken from the worldwide tool and brought over to this country analysis. So this is sort of a little bit of visibility into the overall forecast globally by region and vertical industry. And let's see, industry by country is the same information as the previous industry by country, but we've sort of gotten rid of the visual representation of it. So this is just the tabular format. In this case, you'll see it's low power AC drive. So again, just like in the previous versions of this tool, you can pick and choose which study you want to get access to. And if you want to do combine multiple markets, you can just do control valves and DCS, and you'll get the control valves up top, and then you get the distributed control systems down below. So hopefully quick and easy access to a lot of information. The forecast. So this is also a key area that we've sort of bolstered with this particular tool, is the ability to forecast each vertical industry within the country. So up to now, everything's been a 2010 actual, but now what you're able to see here in this particular report is ARC's 5-year outlook by vertical industry for all of the key countries that we are reporting. So see here, there's quite a bit of information if you keep scrolling down. And we have also have a tab here for the Mira country concept. So this is, some of this I've explained already, but this gives you a little more detail as to the market model ARC uses to get down to this level of granularity. So you could go through that at your leisure. We also have access to study scopes in this as well. So this is the same scope pages as in the worldwide, but we wanted to give access to it from this workbook as well. And a research map is, this is a new map for the model that gives you some information as to where we've collected primary research and where we've using economic factors to model the country analysis. So if you pick on a particular research set, let's say DCS, you'll see here wherever there's green circles is information we've collected from primary research. So you see China, India, Japan. Those are all gathered through primary research, and the rest of it, the smaller countries, are being modeled. So this gives our clients some feedback as to where we're getting the actual primary research and where we're using the model to sort of get to this level of granularity. And the support page is very similar to the worldwide. You'll see here the user group, the registered users, and the topics that ABB has purchased access to at the country level. And that's about it. Is there any questions about the country model? Okay. The last thing I want to show you is I mentioned it briefly, but if you want to do some further analysis on the information, we've designed these scratch workbooks. So, okay, you'll see here that we haven't developed any, so we can create a new workbook, and then you can copy and paste whatever you want on here, and then just save it. And I guess I got to give it a name. Okay, so that's where That's where you can open up an existing Scratch workbook. So if you want to do any kind of customization on the information that's in any of these workbooks, you want to save them into either a Scratch workbook that can be stored here on the ERC server, or a different workbook stored locally on your desktop or server. Just to give you an example, if you wanted to do something like that, let's say, let's go back into the worldwide study and go to, let's say, forecast and actuals. And let's say we want to do the something about along the lines of industry. So in this case, we're doing distributed control systems by industry. So let's just copy that and open up the Scratch workbook here and paste it. Let's expand these columns a little bit. And then let's just say that you want to say that mining is, I don't know, let's say it's 60-40. I really don't know the market well enough to be giving you any kind of real numbers here, but let's say 60% of the overall metals and mining market, and metals is the remaining 40%. And metals and mining. That's where you can. So this is something that you know, if you were to do this right in the workbook, it would be lost. But if you do it in here in the Scratch workbook, it gets saved. So the next time around, you can see here these factors that you gave on it, 60-40 or 20-30 or whatever factors you put on the data.
Okay, very good.
Hope it was worth your time.
It was very good. Thank you.